Good afternoon. Welcome to this partner webinar, a partnership between the PA Forum and CSR Accreditation. This is a subject that's looking at the fact that PAs, VAs and EAs are the perfect enablers for responsible business. So, what is your business doing? And how can you influence your business? And how can you become an enabler that helps your business develop its social responsibility, its sustainability agenda, address issues like ESG, that's the environmental, social and governance compliance, look at your sustainable development goals, how you can kind of drive towards net zero and so on and so forth. So what we're going to do today is we're going to explore, a little bit about the definition around social responsibility. I'm going to ask the panel members to introduce themselves, and then each will then talk a little bit about their experience, and we're going to kind of cross-examine each other and really kind of explore the whole area of how the PA Forum, how its members, how others can engage in social responsibility in a meaningful and impactful way. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the panel members. First of all, Daniel, if you'd like to start, that'd be great.
Yeah, fantastic. So thank you so much. It's a great opportunity today, something that I'm really, something personally to me that I'm really interested in. And for those of you who I might not have had the opportunity to meet before, my name is Daniel Skirmer. I am the founder of PA Forum. PA Forum is a community group, and we very much bring the community of the business or executive support community, whether that be all the way through administrators to office managers, virtual assistants, PAs, EAs, into our community. And we provide educational learning, networking opportunities and development to be able to share best practice ideas and better ways of working. And I couldn't think of a better webinar for us to be able to do that today. So it's a fantastic opportunity to be doing this, Richard.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Fiona, you're next. Please do introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Fiona Burlow and I'm a sustainability coordinator for Evershed Sutherland. So my journey actually began in this topic back when I was a PA, and I've been involved with the PA Forum since 2019. So really excited to be part of this discussion today.
Thank you very much. And if I could also very quickly ask, Sarah has been a panelist for me as well in the past, so it's lovely to see you again, Sarah. And please do introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm Sarah James and I'm the People and Operations Manager for Savient Limited. I've always got a personal passion for CSR, as well as actually how I can drive that within a business as well. So really excited to share some of the ideas and initiatives of how we can all kind of engage in this and all our roles, and how we can all support the PA Forum members, which really enjoy networking and the opportunity with everyone. So yeah, really exciting. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And out of shot, I have with me the CSRA Operations Manager, Jennifer Clark, who's going to be moderating and just keeping an eye on the chat and things like that. So for the attendees on the call today, do please put questions, comments, observations into the chat. And if we have time, we'll pick up on those at the end of the session. So do please use chat. We'll be keeping an eye on that, and then looking at how we can respond to your comments. And finally, my name is Richard Collins. I am the Chief Exec of CSR Accreditation. We are the UK's only accreditation body for social responsibility. We are operating in the UK, but we now are operating on an international stage with partnerships opening up in places like Bangladesh, in the Arab Emirates, in the United States, throughout the globe generally. So it's been a very exciting journey for us. We provide an accreditation for social responsibility, but we also supply training for CSR, and we'll be talking about that later, because it's the training that we would like to encourage the PA Forum members to look at. And also we provide social impact reporting. So in other words, it's accreditation, education, and communication. And actually, the communication is a very important part of this, because it's about telling those really important impact stories. But as we'll explore, we can't tell stories, we can't have the storytelling without showing the story doing. And this is such an important part of authentic social responsibility. It cannot be a tick box exercise. if I may have the next slide, please, that would be great. So we put social responsibility. CSRA really looks at a holistic approach to social responsibility, and it delivers a framework that kind of explores all areas of the way an organisation or business operates. So we're very keen for CSR accreditation to be the model that starts an organisation on its journey. And by positioning ourselves at the centre, we can look at the Social Value Act, developing a social value policy. We can look at general CSR, so in terms of the training and the general use of social responsibility. We can look at how we can help engage businesses with the United Nations SDGs. And actually we've mapped the 4 pillars, which we'll look at in a minute, of CSR against the 17 SDG goals. So it's actually very easy for any organisation who's a bit wary and and maybe doesn't think that the SDGs are for them. But you can very easily look at what you're already doing and align that with those SDGs. And the nice thing about the United Nations SDGs is that they are a big movement, something to be really, something to be part of, and something that's very, very visible. So, you know, I think it's really great to align with yourself with those. Also looking at that term sustainability, there's a lot of conversations around the misuse of the word sustainability, and with COP26 around the corner, people often use sustainability exclusively with regards to climate and environment. We don't feel that's the case. Again, we think sustainability is about the sustainable future for your business across all its operating areas and across all its internal and external staff and audiences. So sustainability is as much about HR as it is about community, as it is about diversity, as it is about climate, as it is about the third sector and supporting charities. So we want to be able to embrace and support the sustainability conversation. And of course, we've got climate change there. It is a big topic at the moment. We have the race to net zero, but of course that also touches on things like reusing, recycling, refurbishing, upscaling, zero landfill, and so on and so forth. And there's so many things that we can do as individuals that can help reduce our impact on the environment. And what I really want to emphasize as well with this holistic approach to addressing these social responsibility commitments is that I want to share with this webinar today that it's something we can all do. It's not above us, you know, it's not something that can be a top-down thing. Every individual has the ability to do something that has an impact that will make the world a better place to live and work in. If we could quickly look at the next slide, please, that would be great. So I'm going to quickly finish off my little bit before I kind of move on to Daniel, really, and why social responsibility is important to the PA Forum and to PA membership. But I just wanted to kind of express that we have a standard for social responsibility, something that we can use like for like and we can measure against. So we define social responsibility as something that allows you to enrich the quality of lives for all by investing in social value as an essential part of an organisation's culture. This provides purpose and impact and will ensure a sustainable and profitable business. It will also help build a better world for future generations by improving the environment and ensuring a cohesive community to live and work in. And I've tried to kind of encompass that holistic approach in that statement and think about it as an emotional investment, enriching quality of our lives by delivering purpose and value. And I think as individuals, as citizens, we have that sense of purpose. We have things we care about. And if our businesses could help, you know, share those concerns and embed them into the way that we work, so that we're not leaving them behind when we go to work in the morning, you know, it would be a great step forward. What we've also done is we've challenged the C in CSR. I come from a corporate background. My first job was with regards to a branding program at BP in Victoria in the late 80s. And a corporate social responsibility was the big thing. Now, we don't want it to be exclusively for the corporates. Like I've said, social responsibility should be for everybody. So by challenging the C, we've removed the word corporate. What we talk about is social responsibility. And then if we use the term CSR, we like to think that the C can stand for company, for community, for charity, for consumer, for citizen, and best of all, for collectiveness. So we can work together building this movement for good that will actually have a positive impact. And that is propped up by the 4 pillars, the very important 4 pillars of environment, workplace, community, and philanthropy. And what I really like about these 4 pillars is that all the businesses that we work for are already doing things against those 4 pillars. We're not asking to do something new. We're not asking to invest. We're not asking to kind of create time for something. We are saying we're doing this now. All our businesses and organisations are already delivering some positive output with regards to the environment. Certainly with regards to the workplace in terms of skills and training and diversity, mental health and well-being and so on and so forth. And certainly with regards to the community in terms of apprenticeships, work placements, engaging with community issues, and also almost certainly with philanthropy in supporting charities that we care about, either nationally or local charities. What we want to do is encourage organisations to look at what you're doing now, recognise it, benchmark it, measure it, record it, report it and communicate it so we can see the impacts. So this is an investment, and we talk about that return on social investment and that social return on investment. The fact that the future shape of business will be measured in both financial and social value. So really that's the positioning for today's webinar, and I wanted to make sure that we were kind of clear about that platform and that framework, and you know, that kind of hopefully informs the rest of the conversation. So if we could move on to the next slide, please. So what does social responsibility mean for the PA Forum? Daniel, over to you, please.
Yeah, I think I used to view CSR as, you know, I used to look at it and think, okay, we need to do something that's going to support charity. And I had no idea what the wealth of things that you needed to think about with CSR. And where you say before, Richard, that you challenge the C in CSR, I very much see it as we are community social responsibility. So my role as a network leader is to try and make sure that our members have as much information and opportunity as we can possibly provide. And whilst as a forum we do our work to support very local charities, we are a West Midlands based community, and we support our local charities mostly with fundraising. I think there's a lot more that we could be doing in gifting time and really gifting our energy to be able to go and really help them more. The environment for me is something I'm really passionate about at the moment. I don't know whether any of you have watched the Earthshot Prize that's on BBC One, but I'm glued to that at the moment. I think I'm on the final episode, and I just find it absolutely fascinating that there is so much opportunity for us to do things. It's not doom and gloom, that there are so many initiatives and so many projects out there that amazing people are doing and working on that can just help us as a human race across the globe to really do our bit. And I was really surprised actually about how the UK is, you know, we've really ruined our landscape agriculturally, and I think it's the Judy, it was the Earthshot Prize. Prince William is hosting it with David Attenborough, who's one of my idols, and a wealth of different people across the globe. And it's to do with our oceans, our farming, our food intake, our cleaning our air. And there's so many different things to do. I think for me, what I absolutely love about our community is drawing on the huge wealth of experience that we have. You know, I have interviewed Fiona previously about her role moving from a PA into sustainability coordinator, and the sorts of things that on a global scale she's having to deal with, and all the initiatives that Evershed Sutherland are so passionately working with. And Sarah James is just a massive, I mean, if you see all the different things that she does personally as well as for the business, is just a real testament to what our community can do. And I want to be able to put our other members who are really interested in CSR in touch with them, to be able to get their experience and find out, you know, what they've done and what sort of projects they've been working on that they could help with. The role of the PA is changing so much, and businesses are demanding more and more from their PAs to be able to support them in such a wide circle of ways. And CSR is just the perfect opportunity for PAs to be able to get involved with the business and do their bit, where however small or however large, to be able to influence people within the business. They're hugely influential, hugely sound. They're hugely sounding boards that people want to go to and ask, pinpoint them in the right direction and find those useful resources of information that people can use. And I think that we've just got such an opportunity, you know, we discussed this between us, Richard, that PAs are perfectly placed to be able to lead in these areas. And whilst I do appreciate some of, you know, people are employed now as CSR ambassadors for their business, or they are, you know, they still need as much help as they possibly can, and the PA community is perfectly placed for that.
No, you're absolutely right, Daniel. We've seen an absolute shift in attitudes towards the kind of role of the PA in terms of the social responsibility agenda. I think it's because of that helicopter view. I don't know what Sarah and Fiona think, but I think, you know, it's being able to have the ear, the chief exec or the senior management team, but also have a view of the business and see where social responsibility actually fits into different areas like HR and finance and you know, facilities and so on and so forth. And how you know, it can make a difference to the profitability of business. It's important that this is no longer a nice to have, but an absolute must have. And PAs are just the perfect individuals within an organization to kind of deliver that, to make that real, to become the enablers, as we've said.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we as a forum, we host a lot of events, and I think it's our responsibility. You know, events are hugely, you know, they can have a huge impact on the environment, whether that be with recycling. I mean, I've just came back off holiday and I was in an all-inclusive hotel, and there was plastic cups everywhere, plastic, you know, everything was plastic. And I thought to myself, there's plastic gloves because of COVID on your buffet station. I'm thinking, where is all of this plastic going? Like, is it being recycled? What's happening to it all? And people were using reusable cups and refilling, but you weren't allowed to use them because of COVID. And so it's this battle that we've got at the moment. You know, events really need to be sustainable. We're seeing that a lot of event organizers, as part of their bids, need to have sustainable solutions in their bid. You know, that when we're asking for proposals, venues are being forced to be more sustainable, and that's a great thing, and they're forced to put forward sustainable options. Just before this call, I had an inquiry actually from Veolia, and she was looking to give some gifts to people, but everything, including the bag, has to be sustainable. And I think for a sustainability company, that's absolutely brilliant, you know. So I think it just goes to show that even right down to the small details and the smallest things that people will receive, we really need to think about how we can do things sustainably. And I think as a forum, we need to think about that for our events going forward as well.
No, I love that, Daniel, and it's the little things that are important. I was at a charity board meeting that I'm on the panel for, and you know, we brought this comment up because they kind of brought all the food in for lunch and no one touched it, and it just stayed on the table, and all the biscuits that didn't get opened, and you know, and the thing is at the end of the meeting, everyone went home and there were like 4 trays of sandwiches and pastries and things like that, and I just thought that's just going in the bin. You know, how can we do something? And it's because it's behavior change. You know, we're used to doing that. You have a meeting, you bring the biscuits in, you bring the food in, and no one eats it, and it doesn't get used. And actually, you know, there might be a better way of saying, well, we're having a board meeting. What would people like to, you know, what would you like to have, you know, and actually kind of, rather than just sort of guess at it and then pile the food in. But it's a little thing. And if we did that all the time, it would make a huge difference. And you start to reduce some of that food waste, and you know, in terms of that aspect of social responsibility. Did Sarah and Fiona, do you have any thoughts as to what Daniel was saying there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, so my role began as a PA, and I then got the exposure into what my company was doing. And with the platform that the PA Forum gave me, I was given the opportunity to move into the role of sustainability coordinator. So I know firsthand that PAs, professional administrators, underpin the very operations of a business. So what's so great about PAs is they experience the full life cycle of a business and of a matter, for example, in a law firm. So not only are they supporting the partners with international events dedicated to specific charities such as End Youth Homelessness, the key thing about a PA is typically they are the first people to train a trainee in a law firm who will join, the first exposure they get, the ability of a PA to upskill and to be upskilled is incomparable with any other role, I think, in a firm. They have to be flexible. They have to be able to adapt to new processes really quickly and often lead on rolling them out. So I completely agree when you say that they will be the enablers.
Yeah, true. And Sarah, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, so it's very much, we're the people that are the organisers and the logistics of things, and lots of people in the workplace will come up with ideas and solutions of, it might be a charity event, it might be doing a charity walk, it might be even a cake sale in the office and things, and they're looking for guidance from us as office managers, PAs and the executive assistants to be able to support that, but also to consider the bigger picture and the impacts on that. So actually thinking about the type of products that we're providing at a cake sale, but also around how we can support the actual charities that are core to that business, and actually thinking about the company values that are important to them as well. So it's great that we can actually assist and support the business and be able to actually do something good as well, and keep everybody happy in the workplace.
Perfect. Thank you, Sarah. If we could have the next slide, please. So I think, you know, what we've seen is that, and this feeds into this change of being able to make a difference in the workplace and to kind of engage and influence and be those enablers. And I think that you know, there has been this change in mindset, and it's something that's driving a change of attitude in the business, not just from the senior management, but throughout the organisation. I think as we've experienced the last 18 months, we've become individually aware of the community that we live and work in, of the businesses that are struggling, of our neighbours that needed shopping for, you know, of the fact that the environment, suddenly there were no planes in the skies and so on and so forth. And I think it kind of gave us a chance to pause and reflect. I often think that actually what COVID did wasn't, people talked about the new future, the next new thing or whatever, but I actually think that COVID has actually reintroduced us to a set of values that we lost. We got so caught up in our digital lives of phones and Insta and Facebook and LinkedIn and just constantly running from one thing to another thing, that we kind of lost sight of some of those values around our neighbours and around the charities and things like that. So I think, you know, COVID, you know, while it's been devastating in many ways, it has had these silver linings that's helped us kind of, you know, really rethink about the world we want to live in. And I've seen so many conversations about people coming back off furlough or coming back into the workplace who are, you know, changing the way that they want to work, changing their life and work balances, and changing the way that they think that their business that they want to work for works. So we'll touch on some of those positive and negative kind of impacts in a minute. So we could have the next slide, please. So, you know, the impact of COVID-19, will the future of work be ever the same again, sort of thing. So what I wanted to do was basically ask those questions to both to Sarah and Fiona, and ask, you know, in terms of the work, where you're positioned and the change that you've seen in the businesses that you're running, you know, are you going to see a change in the business workplace? Are you already feeling that from senior management, and is that also reflected in terms of the staff in the businesses that you work for?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Sarah, do you want to go first?
No, go, honestly.
So for Evershed Sutherland, we are a purpose and values-led organisation. So our purpose is to help our clients, our people and our communities to thrive. So this has always been important, but I think that COVID has definitely accelerated this, because it's almost given companies the chance to sort of step back and think, what else is going on other than the everyday rush that we'd all experienced? And simultaneously, the same was happening for our suppliers and for our clients. So the demand was greater, more now than ever. And I wanted to share a couple of phrases, that I'd heard in the Times. So some of you might have heard of Build Back Better, but another great one was, you can't social distance from climate change. So I work specifically with sustainability in terms of the environment and climate change and what we can do to reduce our impact. But that does lead on to us working with our charity partners, such as WaterAid, and the broader impact it's having on societies all around the world. So for Eversheds, they decided to create a new hub, I suppose, called Responsible Business. And the key change to this, and I think it would have happened ultimately, but I think it's happened a lot quicker. It's raised the profile of sustainability in line with what was going on with pro bono, wellbeing and diversity and inclusion. And it's joined them all together into this Responsible Business hub. And I just think it's so important because it means that there's one place for people to go to if they need to find out about any of those parts. But it also means that the networks are being expanded extensively internally so we can reach more people externally. So I think that COVID has definitely accelerated this. As I said, it might have happened in the future, but because the demand is so great from all directions, I don't think it will be the same again, but I think it will be better. We approach the future of our work with a blended working approach. So, for example, you don't have to be in the office every single day, but that means that our networks need to be more robust, because if we're not seeing people face to face, we need to make sure that we've got the tools to engage with them, to educate people and to empower them as well. So I think it's going to be a challenging time, but I think it's a positive.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and I think your reference to that responsible business hub, or the use of the word responsible, and I think it is having a responsibility that goes above and beyond that of the core business operation. So it goes into the community and into engaging staff, in terms of where they live. And certainly the model of hybrid working is going to bring up a lot of new responsibility requirements for employers with regarding, the mental health and well-being of remote working, of who's going to pay the utility bills, so the energy management, and especially as we come into winter, and touching on those external audiences as well in terms of the supply chain, and making sure that our values in maybe that we've got, we're in a supply chain and they're putting pressure on us to maximize our values to meet theirs. Otherwise, we may not be retained in that supply chain. So I think, it is important to kind of think of that word responsible and look at how that affects our business and the way we operate. Sarah, you were going to come in as well?
Yeah, so I think it's about actually taking a bit of a positive from the pandemic. I think it's very much given us the opportunity to consider what we do as a workplace and an organisation. So, we all had to work from home. We've not got access to the printers and the scanners and the filing cabinets and everything that I know very much, as an office manager, I kind of relied on. I was constantly printing or stood at the printer. So we suddenly had to adapt to how we were actually working at home. And I'm sure, like everyone's kind of the stationery bills, it's like you haven't got that endless supply of stationery and everything that you might need from an office. So we had to become smarter in the way that we work. But that was also actually having a positive impact from an environmental and from a financial impact as well on the actual organisation. I think Fiona kind of touched on, and yourself, Richard, with wellbeing and things as well. And joining Savient, it was clear that we wanted to put something in to be able to support people, and we looked and invested in an employee assistant programme. And also from a social point of view, we're all kind of used to seeing people more face to face. We had to adapt how we were going to socially interact with people. We then have bi-weekly social events that we get the team online, and we've done all sorts of things from online gaming tournaments that have been something that people have enjoyed, as well as baking sessions, quizzes, but then also having the newsletters as well, which again are all kind of virtual and on our SharePoint that we do. So it's about being smarter and taking those positives, and actually the environmental impact that we're now having on our environment and the office that we do. So I think we can be really smart and take some great savings from it.
And Sarah, you know what I loved about that, and this is something we see a lot, is picking on that individuality that an organisation can bring to its social responsibility. So that every, you know, rather than having that prescriptive set of tick boxes, that do you have a policy for this and are you doing this? But it misses out on some of that personality about having kind of an online gaming tournament for staff, you know, creating that sense of engagement and support for staff who are remote working. And also, interestingly, statistics coming out that actually, you know, home working has actually stepped us towards that paperless office in a way that no one really expected, because we aren't just relying on the printers and the scanners and all the things that we've done before. But I think the thing is, each of you have expressed, you know, aspects that are unique to your business, and that's something that we you know, again, as a PA, you know, you can only see that because all organizations are genuinely different. And we've come across organizations that have put, you know, beehives on their roofs and given the honey away to the community. And, you know, a company we trained the other day had, you know, just on the first anniversary, or on the anniversary of employment, they get a day off, not part of their holiday, just get that day off, you know, just unique to that business. It's something that they wanted to do to engage their staff. Could we have a look at the next slide, please?
One of the big major things that we did was onlining as well. Richard just quickly mentioning that kind of onboarding staff. So actually being smarter and being able to implement those onboarding sections and doing that all remotely as well, which I'm sure a lot of the PAs are doing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And this neatly kind of dovetails, and I'll be interested in fact, all of your comments. In fact, I'm going to be invaded in a minute. Here we go. Just take him off. I could see him coming in. So I touched on that thing about social and financial value, and making it so important, you know, that this is actually a business strategy. It's a business practice. And from a PA point of view, this is about how you can improve your business, you know, for its shareholders, for its stakeholders, and having a look at that the social value, which is so important. So the tangible and the intangible value that we have as you know, within our businesses. And also, you know, bringing that forward as a topic of conversation. So very briefly, when we look at the financial value, we can see that social responsibility is a really great way to engage staff. In fact, Gallup poll recently suggested that only 11% of the UK staff were engaged in their jobs, 68% not being engaged, and the remaining percentage being actively disengaged. And what they showed was that the three main areas for engagement within business, and this was 2020, the Gallup poll was conducted, was around purpose and value, autonomy, and investing in skills and recognizing the value of your staff. And if we unpack that and look at that first section about purpose and value, it's allowing staff to deliver the purposes that they have. So, you know, giving them a day off a year to do some volunteering, make recommendations about recycling or refurbishing or upcycling, or how the business I work for can have a cycle to work scheme or something of that nature. So, you know, I think that social value thing is very important, but the autonomy is allowing staff across the organization to be able to influence, to be able to ask questions, and make recommendations and suggestions. So have some decision-making practices around how a business delivers its social responsibility. And of course, the final thing, obviously, is to recognize and value your staff, improve their skills by giving them training and evaluating their work and performance and so on and so forth. So if you engaging a workforce by enriching the quality of their life through social responsibility, you're reducing absenteeism, you actually are improving mental health and well-being, because there's one great thing about social responsibility is it makes you feel good because it's about something good. The impact, the outcome is good, and as long as you're measuring and recording the outputs. But another big area that is now absolutely huge, and it's so critical today, in the UK especially, is recruitment. There's a massive problem with recruitment, and we are seeing that universities are showing data that the new generation of workforce, the new talent pool, is scrutinizing a business's website to look for their social value and sustainability before accepting a job. This comes above and beyond pay. It never used to. 5 years ago, that wasn't the case. But we're also seeing an older generation who are looking to move into a different career, choosing businesses that they, you know, that provide more purpose for their life. So we are seeing a shift in terms of recruitment. And this goes right down, not to the millennials, not to the Gen Zs, but the Gen As, who you know, are at school at the moment and are really thinking about the world that they want to live and work in. So there's a huge value to attracting staff and retaining staff. And of course, the other financial value sits within winning tenders. Another spike that we have seen almost weekly now of businesses saying, how can we show social value? We've been asked to show this in a tender for a local authority pitch, or we're bidding for this. How do we show our sustainability and social responsibility credentials? And, you know, it's, and not really having an idea of where to look for them. And I think where the PA can play that role is look at those 4 pillars, look at what your organization's doing, pull that information together and have it ready, because then you can be, you know, we've seen financial companies losing tens of thousands of pounds this year by losing bids simply because they couldn't put their social value policy into the bidding process, and medical companies and construction industry companies and so on and so forth. We talked about supply chain, and we can also talk about brand reputation, business reputation as well. So, you know, being able to tell those positive stories, build that brand reputation around social responsibility initiatives, and attract, you know, the referral, the word of mouth, the work, and so on and so forth. But making sure that you're authentic and making sure that you're evidencing it. So again, I just wanted to pick up on the impact, the very real financial value that social responsibility can have for a business. And then, of course, the social value. So making a difference to the world you live in, improving the environment for future generations, working with local charities, building relationships, engaging staff in a positive way. So delivering that social output. So I think these things are very important. And I'm sure, again, Daniel, I'd like to bring you back in on this as well, in terms of, you know, providing opportunities for your members to kind of engage in this, so that they can support their businesses through this through the ability to show social and financial value.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, we aim to hold educational sessions, but, you know, we also want to work with a number of providers that can offer solutions for people, because it can be a bit of a minefield out there. There's so many different things. And I think what we're also, you know, one of the things that worries me is I would like to put out to our members next year about what sustainable activity we could do as a forum, and perhaps, you know, give a proportion of our membership price to a sustainable activity. Now, that could be something that people are passionate about from all angles. It could be planting a tree, it could be, you know, seagrass, it could be, you know, recycling projects, it could be anything really. But it's researching and making sure that the right things are in place and how we can find those. And I think, again, it's such a vast field at the moment that it really is important for the communities to be able to pull on each other's, you know, experiences and find those right people. I think measurement is really important as well. I think, like, as you say, having that measurement in place is going to be something that's vital, particularly through the tendering process. And I also think that, you know, having worked in hotels and the hotels experience, there's so much pressure now being put on venues about what their sustainability policies are, what their CSR policies are, how they're giving back to the local community, what are they doing. And by, you know, event organisers putting that pressure onto venues or other members of the supply chain will only force people to be able to come up with really nice, you know, exciting solutions for people. And I just get asked all the time. We're hosting an event next week, well, on the 20th of October, with one of our partners, Conference Care, who've developed a carbon consultancy for events, which I think is fantastic, because it says how much carbon you would need to offset for your events. And it's a really kind of consultative approach about how you can run your events and what you can do. And, you know, that could be a very large part of a PA's role. It could be quite a small part of a PA's role. It might not be a part at all, but having the education, the knowledge to be able to have that in place, I think is something that's really important. And it's just great to see companies, you know, like yourself, offering an accreditation that could be used. I know we don't want to use a tick box exercise, but, you know, somebody put in the chat box, what are the 4 pillars? It's having it instilled in your mind that these are all the things that we need to consider, and these are all the things that we need to work towards.
Absolutely. I mean, Sarah, I was going to come on to you because I know that Savient have been CSR accredited, and presumably that was a process in which you looked at those 4 pillars and you looked at what you were doing, and probably quite a cathartic process, I imagine, because when you suddenly see it in front of you, you think, gosh, we're doing so much more than we even thought we were doing. And now we can have that kind of independently, you know, verified and recognized, and it sets you on that journey, but also gives you processes that you can now do in the future.
Yeah, definitely, Richard. It was actually about listening to our employees and what's important to them, as well as actually having the directors brought in on that kind of process of this is actually important now, and kind of touching on what you said earlier about being kind of essential for tendering for business, for being the right for our employers and for the actual suppliers and things that we work with and our clients. And I think kind of listening and listening to the employees, we've put electric vehicle schemes in because that's what some of our employees wanted to do. We've put cycle to work schemes in. We've looked at our wellbeing and our employee assistance program to be able to assist as well, and also about giving back. So we have a graduate scheme that has been really successful at Savient, and they actually now want to do outreach talks and events with local universities, local schools, to be able to share their experience and their journeys, and be able to future-proof and help support the generation of people that want to come and work in an IT industry that we do. So I think listening's key, and then being able to have those impacts, and a CSR accreditation for us is just that next stage that we can now continue to build on.
Brilliant, absolutely great to hear. And Fiona, I imagine you've seen as well that shift in role to kind of like the sustainability agenda. Likewise, I expect that's opened your eyes in terms of, you know, something that probably wasn't even visible even 2 years ago, but has now become, you know, a really important central theme within the organisation.
Yeah, absolutely. So this year, actually, we signed the UN Global Compact, which means we have to complete a COP report annually and align with the 10 principles. We've also aligned with all 17 of the Sustainable Development Goals, and we have had our science-based targets approved by the Science Based Targets Initiative. So we've done so much in the past year, but just touching on a couple of points that Richard had made. So first of all, there's going to be a new mandatory report that we have to comply with called TCFD, which stands for Climate Change Reporting on Financial Disclosure. So with that, we have to demonstrate as a business what we're doing to look at the risks and opportunities to prevent our business, you know, suddenly going under and threatening the whole of the global economy. So, you know, the whole world is kind of waking up to that. He also talked about pitches, and in the past, perhaps CSR would have contributed to maybe 1-2%. But recently, just EHS, environmental health and safety on its own, has contributed to nearly 15% of pitches. You know, and we need to have that data to share with our fee earners, you know, to win the pitches, to win the work. That's key to our business. Also about retaining talent. So recently we recruited somebody into the EHS team, and for the first time we were looking for a sustainability administrator, and there were just so many. And, you know, 5 years ago it would have been nearly impossible to find somebody who had the relevant experience or enthusiasm. And the questions that they're asking now, they're sort of saying, you know, what are the benefits? And by that I don't mean how much holiday or, you know, overtime or anything. They want to know where their pension is being invested into. They're wanting to know if we're taking climate change seriously and what opportunities we can offer to them. And yeah, I mean, talking about the more social side, we have offices all over the world. I mean, just under operational control, we have 28 offices. So we have to think outside the box. You know, cultures are very different. Time zones are different. How do we reach out to all these people? So we use a combination of a calendar of events, such as World Environment Day, World Food Day, and we're also looking at an engagement tool as well, which won't directly feed into us reducing our carbon emissions on sites. However, it will ensure that we educate our colleagues to make better decisions, such as picking sustainable fish, having a plant-based option, you know, really looking into if they could use public transport, you know, instead of driving everywhere. So they're the sort of things we're looking at. And also, I think everybody's so much more exposed now to this concept, to this topic, because if you're on Instagram, the people you're following now, they're starting to get very invested in what their businesses are doing, you know, even if it's a local jewelry business, to be more sustainable. You know, so we're just so much more exposed to it now. I don't think you could deny that things are changing, even if we do have, you know, climate change deniers, and everybody's absolutely entitled to their opinion. But I think you can't escape the conversation now, so things have definitely changed.
Yeah, great stuff. You're absolutely right, and it's becoming something you simply can't ignore, and you need to do something about. Can we have the next slide, please? So we've got a few minutes left, and I just wanted to really pick up on, you know, the training that we offer, and we are offering the training at a discounted rate specifically to PA Forum members as well. So we can do something with the PA Forum at a time when it's, you know, we can set some dates in the future. It's really just setting up an appetite to do some training. The training is really useful. There are 6 modules, and the training basically, you learn about the benefits of CSR, you explore the law and the guidance and the regulation. This is something we haven't touched on here, but, you know, I think Sarah's kind of almost, I'm sorry, Fiona's almost touching on the fact that, you know, we are seeing the pressures now from regulation. I'm sure there'll be regulation around hybrid working, but there's going to be more regulation around waste and management, electricity, diversity, and so forth. So, you know, these are things we will need to be looking at. Develop an understanding of how to build a strategy. So looking at what you're doing and how you can build a strategy, developing stakeholder and internal engagement. And that's, you know, looking at the capacity for a business to deliver its social responsibility. So what capacity is there already? What are we doing? Who are the enablers in the business that can help to deliver that? Do we put a steering group together, or a small, you know, round table, and discuss what the business needs to do and how we can create objectives for it? And then the importance of understanding and measuring impact. So, you know, going back to that thing of saying, look, what are we doing? How can we measure it? How, you know, if we're recycling, are we measuring our carbon footprint? You know, are we putting out staff satisfaction surveys? Are we getting impact reports from the charities we support, so we can see the impact that we're having by supporting them, whether it's volunteering or cash donations? So I'd love to encourage you to think about coming and doing the training. Daniel and I will work out a program for the training in the coming months, and then offer that to the PA Forum members and anyone else. We run the training every month anyway, and you can find information about that at our website, which is csr-accreditation.co.uk. So you can come and look at the training. And the training, that education piece, accreditation, communication, education, you can come at it at different levels. The training piece, I think, gives you the bare bones of social responsibility. It's effectively a one-day course. We deliver it, we can deliver it 2 hours a day over 3 days, or 1 hour a day over 6 weeks. There are many ways of delivering it. And importantly, it's accredited by the Institute of Administrative Management. It's endorsed by Bucks-New University, it's certified by CSRA, and it counts towards your CPD. So, you know, it's a really good course to do. It gives you all the kind of information you need, and we can, and you know, there's a 10% discounted rate available to members. The cost for the training at the moment is £290 for 6 modules, but then there are different ways that we can deliver that. So that's something we can discuss. But please, if you're interested in that, either contact Daniel or myself, and we'll work out a way in which we can deliver that for you. And that will start you on that journey. Of course, you can simply come onto the site and have a look at the accreditation. We provide all the tools, the roadmaps, the supporting information to help you look into under the bonnet of those 4 pillars, look at the lists that align with those 4 pillars. And more importantly, as I say, move away from the box ticking, that white paper approach. Tell us what you're doing that makes a difference to your business. So we'd love to hear that. We do have a few minutes. I wonder if there were any comments or questions from the chat that we could look at. I don't know if Jennifer's still with us.
So I think there was just a reminder of the 4 pillars, which you went back about: the environment, workplace, community, and philanthropy. I can't find it really difficult to say that word. Apologies. People that are have posted some CSR accredited merchandise providers. People looking to reduce.
Yes, there's working towards reducing the food waste in recyclable containers. These are all, there's so many beautiful things you can do. And just touching on those pillars of environment, workplace, community and philanthropy, those pillars do overlap. So, for example, you can have a team building exercise with a local charity that's doing something about the, like a litter picking scheme or something. So, you can bring your team together, get them out into the environment, clean up the area, so you're making an impact on the community. It's a visible impact that other people can see you're doing. So in other words, you can tick the kind of, the environment pillar, you can look at the workplace pillar, you can look at the community pillar and the charity pillar. So the pillars they do overlap. But importantly, the guidance that we provide, what we don't try and do is we're giving a kind of an aid memoir to the sort of things that you could be doing against those pillars. But we're acutely aware that you're going to be doing loads of stuff that we just don't know about. But typically in environment, obvious low-hanging fruit is things like recycling, reducing wastes, travel to work issues and things like that, ethical procurement and so on and so forth. And within the workplace, we are looking at things like mental health and well-being, diversity, but apprenticeships, work placements, skills training, and it can go into so much more detail in terms of the workplace benefits, good governance, again back to the ethical procurement and supply chain management. And with community, we try to make the difference between community and philanthropy. That community isn't just about the community charities and the community groups, but actually if there are community issues, if it's like joining the local chamber of commerce or getting involved in the local council, or if there's an issue around car parking in the high street and there's something you can do about it, or if you want to engage with local businesses and put a forum or a round table around street lighting or something, it's working out where you are, what your community interests are and how you can engage with the community. And that might be supporting local sports groups or local uniformed, groups like the Scouts or the Cubs or football clubs or whatever. And then finally, philanthropy, is the 5 ways of giving. We talk about, financial giving, pro bono, volunteering, gifts in kind and fundraising. So, how we can, but importantly, when you're working with the third sector, it's just not a one-off act of giving. It's saying, let's build a relationship with a charity, let's invite them in to present to our staff, let's engage the staff with that, and let's encourage the charity to deliver impact reporting so we can show the difference that we're making in those areas.
We've had, I think someone's put, I think Carmel's put, yes, our company's using different words to CSR, like CR. Forgive me, Carmel, I'm not quite sure what that means, but it'd be interesting to find out what that.
That's why we wanted to put CS. So we've defined, we're trying to create a new definition for social responsibility. So we talk about social responsibility, as I mentioned. I mean, CR is corporate responsibility, but then it uses the word corporate, and we're trying to create the inclusive C. I mean, people will be using ESG, sustainability, social value. There's lots of different things, but we're just saying, look, it's about social responsibility. And the C can then be changed for community, for collectiveness, for collaboration, or whatever it might be. But there are different words. And in fact, we've done a piece of work for a large international law firm, and they just want to use the word responsible business. They want to have, this is our responsible business program. So I don't think it really matters what you call it. It's what you have. It's what you're delivering. It's what the impact is that you're making. What we've done is we've just created a framework that makes it easier for you to recognise those things and pull that stuff together. But if you're a business, you might want to call it the I think of a name of a company that the Placemat Holdings Responsible Business Initiative or something of that nature. So I think you can deliver it any way you like and make it relevant to your business.
Yeah, fantastic. And then we've just had Maria works for the air ambulance, and they are trying to I hope you don't mind me saying, Maria, but they're actually looking for companies and corporates at the moment to put their recycling clothes stations into their car parks so that they can get obviously encourage their colleagues to come and recycle or to gift clothing. And I know there's a number of other initiatives as well, like Sarah's put in the chat there about recycling IT equipment, etc. So yeah, I know that Maria would be love to speak to anybody if they're interested in that as well from the air ambulance charity.
Great, brilliant one to end on, really. I think we're out of time, and thank you, Daniel, for partnering with us today to deliver this PA webinar. on sustainability and social responsibility. Thank you to our panelists, to Sarah and to Fiona, who've given up their time and given some amazing insight into what their organisation is doing. Thanks to Jennifer, who's somewhere around, who was keeping an eye on everything. And I hope that's been of use to everybody. Obviously, this is being recorded. We will make the link available to the PA forum so that can be shared amongst your members who weren't able to make it today. So thank you very much, everybody, and have a fantastic rest of the day. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.